Hey guys, it's William with Scamming Scammers Action and the YouTube channel Scamming Scammers. I'm gonna try and start a live stream. Hopefully it works. I'm actually using my laptop and it's a little bit different than my computer, so bear with me. If you guys can see me, great. If not, I'll probably having a lot of technical issues. But hopefully this will set up well and we can start our live stream. We're going to cover just a few topics. I wanted to fill you guys in on what's been going on with me and just cover a few scam topics. This is totally new with a new laptop, well, an old laptop that I'm using, but it's new for me. My desktop computer is still packed away. I haven't gotten a lot of stuff unpacked yet. So please bear with me on this. If I'm a little slow to answer, this is kind of an old laptop, so it runs a little bit slower than my desktop. But I'd like to welcome everybody. This is our Q&A for March 2022. I hope you guys are well. It's been a while. I want to fill you guys in on some stuff. As you know, I've had a lot of events happen over the last couple of months. I've moved. I'm living just outside of Los Angeles, California. It's kind of a temporary living situation until things can get going. We will have some announcements that we're going to make pretty soon and surprise you guys with some interesting stuff. But I just wanted to say hello to everybody, and I hope you guys are well. Anna's been working the page for the most part. I've been doing as much as I can. But just to fill you guys in before we start our Q&A, so I moved, as I said, down to the Los Angeles area. It's a temporary living situation, but it was a place to be. I started a new job this past week, which has kept me really, really super busy. I'm just trying to get everything sorted, and you know, when you move, you don't realize how much stuff you have until you actually move. So I'm dealing with a lot of offloading of stuff and going through things, and so it's kept me pretty busy. I hope to make some new YouTube videos soon. I'm just starting to get my computer set up. I'm actually in sharing a duplex with a friend of mine, and their internet wasn't the greatest, so I had to get everything kind of put together and set up. So I hope to have my computer running soon, and then we can start doing some videos. I've been chatting to scammers as our favorite gal Betty, and I have some voice chats, so I just have to upload them to my computer and get that all set up. So thanks for your patience, and those of you who have written comments and emails, I hope that I try to answer them as much as I can. Hi to everyone in chat. Fresno, California. Yeah, I just drove through Fresno not too long ago. California is not my final destination, but it's a place to be right now. The situation where I was at in Oregon, the rent got outrageously high. I wasn't able to stay where I was at, and so I had to make a quick move. I've lived in this area many years ago, so it's kind of familiar to me, but yet it's not. So I've been away from California for a very long time, so this is a new adventure for me. But as I said, it's only a temporary situation until I get to my final destination. So hi to everyone that's joining us. I didn't have anyone write any questions in because I didn't know if this live stream would work. But we want to cover a few things. Anna and myself have been working the page, and as you know, with the situation in the Ukraine and what's going on with Russia, we're seeing more and more scammers creating fake military profiles. I spoke to a lady this morning who was scammed by one of those type of profiles. And so we need to go over a few things with a lot of our target victims and victims of military romance scams. So as you know, like I said, with the conflict in the Ukraine, scammers are creating fake military profiles, fake military doctor profiles, and they're saying that they're going over to the Ukraine and they're fighting Russia and they're doing all these things and that they need your money. So let's cover it again for those who aren't aware. Military men and women do not need your money. They don't need gift cards. They don't need your money. They also don't need help with medical bills. One of our victims this morning got scammed, and he said he needed money for his leave and he needed money for his medical bills. So when you're in the military, all of your medical is covered. In the military, they have TRICARE. But when they're deployed, they have medical care. They don't need money for anything, especially on medications, surgeries, any of that stuff. The same can be said for a leave. If a military person is taking a leave, they don't need your money. They don't pay for leaves. They don't, You don't write to their sergeant to get permission. They don't involve you in any way, and there's no cost to it. So keep that in mind because we're seeing an influx of fake military profiles, and it's getting a little bit out of control. With unfortunately victims falling for it, and we've had a lot of victims from the Philippines lately that have been falling for military profiles. So please keep in mind that real military people do not need your money, they don't need your gift cards, they don't need anything. And if you get a friend request from a military man, it's very likely a scammer using a fake profile because real military men and women don't tend to send you friend requests out of the blue or send you messages that say, you look lovely, dear. I need to speak with you. Please add me up. So just keep that in mind with the current conflict going on over in Ukraine that scammers are creating these military profiles at a fever pitch and they're just wanting to use the war to get more victims. So please be very vigilant with military profiles. So, hi everyone who's just joining us. Thank you for your prayers. Hi everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. Question: how does the bottled thing work? Is this group pointing out scammers on Bottled and Facebook? So we expose scammers from all over, not just Bottled or Facebook, but Instagram, from dating sites, all wherever we find fakes and scams, we expose them. Bottled is basically an app, and what the Bottled app is, you're on a virtual island and you write a message in a bottle, and then you throw the bottle out to the ocean, and then you get bottles, and people get your bottles. And what happens on Bottled is it's a great way to meet people if you're looking to meet friends from all over the world. However, scammers have just flooded that app. So what happens is you'll receive a bottle, and it'll be from a fake profile, and then you'll start a chat conversation on Bottled, and it'll end up asking you to go to Hangouts or WhatsApp. Bottled is fun. I'm on Bottled both as my fake profile, my old lady profile, and as myself. And I've actually met a lot of great people from all over the world on Bottled. But unfortunately, let's say for every 10 bottles you get, 8 of them are going to be scammers using fake profiles. So that's how it works. You just write a message in a bottle, you throw it out of your virtual island, and people receive your bottles, and the same way bottles wash up on your virtual shore, and then you can open those bottles and you can decide whether to keep that person as a friend or throw their bottle away. So it's just a friendship app, and there's different levels on Bottled where you can be looking for friends, and then I believe there's one setting that's an adventure setting where you can look for love. So it's kind of twofold, but unfortunately it's a haven for scammers now, and they try to get people to go to Hangouts and WhatsApp after they keep your bottle. The one good thing about Bottled, it's run by, I believe, 2 gentlemen from France. They were pretty good about removing fake profiles when you report them. They take it pretty seriously. But as their app has grown and they're very, very busy now with new upgrades they've done, they don't take down the fakes as often as they used to. So be very, very vigilant if you're on Bottled. And as I said, it's a fun app. Like if you want to meet people from all over the world, I've chatted with people from Turkey to Indonesia and everywhere in between. It's a fun app, but it's full of scammers just like any other website or social site. Yeah, you're right. They're into everything. Nothing is safe. There's scammers all over. Susan, are things worse with scammers because of the Ukraine situation? Yes, absolutely. There are tons and tons and tons of scammers making fake military profiles and fake doctor profiles saying that they're, doing surgery over in the Ukraine because of injured soldiers and injured people, and then they're asking for gift cards and money. So yeah, it has actually ramped up. It's gotten worse in terms of military profiles. We used to see them kind of dwindle down before this situation over there. We were seeing a lot more oil rig profiles and engineer profiles, but now it's kind of gone aside and we have military profiles. So just be extra vigilant and be aware, and don't friend military men if you don't know them in person, because it's likely going to be a scammer. I had one 4 years ago, but she wasn't saying she was military. After a few months of talking, she wanted to send me her bank information. Yeah. So anyone that's wanting to send bank information or wanting your bank information is always going to be a scammer. Real military people don't need those kind of things. They don't need your bank information, and they don't need you to log into their bank account. So covering that, we had a lady recently who said that she was talking to a military guy, and he wanted her to log in to his bank account. And his bank account, she logged into it and it had hundreds of thousands of dollars, but of course it was frozen. So what happened with that was it ended up being a fake bank login, and then when they logged in, they asked for her information, like her banking info and her routing number and all that kind of stuff. So just be aware of that. Normal people, especially military men, are not going to ask you to log into their bank accounts. Just be very, very careful of that. And they do create bank accounts that look, and so victims do think that they're logging into a real bank account, and it's not. It might be it'll say Bank of America, but there'll be an extra O, or there'll be it'll say .net instead of .com. There's just little subtle things that they do to make it look legit. So it does happen. Hi from Australia. I told you that two of my profile photos have been shared by a scammer, and thankfully Facebook. You say to lock profile photos, which I do now, but I've had a few that have sent some of my profile photos to me via Messenger, and they've obviously screenshots. There's nothing I can do about it. I just thought I'd mention it to you. Thank you, and Anne, for much help. You're welcome. Yeah, the problem is once a scammer steals your photos, a lot of times they just share them in scammer-run groups. And so you'll have, one or two of your photos stolen, or they'll screenshot your photos and crop them. And then they just share them in groups. And it's unfortunate. There's not a lot you can do. I mean, you can report the fake profile and hope that Facebook takes it down, but most of the time they don't. Most of the time they ignore it. So that also comes down to, as far as on Facebook, we always tell people don't put your real photo up as your profile photo. Put up a photo of something like your favorite dog or cat or your car or some inanimate object. And make sure your wallpaper as well is something that's not pertaining to you. Make it a background of a sky or something that you enjoy, because they'll keep stealing photos, and a lot of scammers now just steal random people's photos. So, do not give any personal info whatsoever. Yep. And if someone asks for your bank routing number, or can you send me a photo of your ID or your passport or your bank card, don't do it. And Anne said the other day on here that, treat online interaction like you would treat talking to somebody in person. So if you're at a club or a bar or a library or Walmart and you meet a man and he says to you, "Hello, dear, you're so beautiful. Could you go ahead and give me your bank routing number and show me a photo of your ID?" It would be, very creepy, and you would walk away. The same can be said for if you met a man online, and if you met that same man in person, and within 2 or 3 minutes of chatting, he told you that he loved you and wanted to marry you and wanted to buy you a house. If a man did that to you in line at a grocery store, you would be completely freaked out. And so you should feel that way if a man online does that to you as well. You need to treat online interactions like you would treat in-person interactions. It would be very, very creepy, and you would want to get away from that person as quickly as possible. The same can be said for online. If you're, chatting to a man online and he all of a sudden wants to marry you and make you the mother to his child, you need to run away. So that's number one thing. Just always look for the red flags. We have a lot of people ask us, we don't know what to look for. A lot of it isn't in the photos, it's in the conversation. So if you're, speaking to someone who claims to be a doctor and he can't string a sentence together that makes any sense, and it's, very poor grammar, or you're speaking to, a military guy who wants to marry you tomorrow and you just met him, it's a red flag. And they don't change their settings. They don't change their formats. It's always they're a widow, they got one kid, they're deployed, they're in the military, they're oil rig workers. It's all the same. So, in the decade nearly we've been doing this, they've always done the same thing. They've always told the same stories. So just look for those red flags and you'll know when you're speaking to a scammer. The same can be said with asking to video chat. If you're talking to somebody online and they refuse to video chat, saying their camera's broken or they're not allowed to video chat, something's very wrong. And if you do get them on video chat and they're only on there for a few seconds and you ask them to do something like, hold their hand up or touch their hat or something and they don't do it, then it's likely a video recording. If a real person wants to get to know you, they're gonna do all the things you ask. If I was meeting someone online for the first time and they asked me to video chat, I would do it. And if they said, "Hey, I'm very leery of scammers. Would you take your hat off?" I would certainly do it for them, just to prove that I'm a real person, and I would ask them to do the same. Once you get that out of the way, and you know you're talking to a real person, then it makes it a lot easier. Beverly, you're right. Misspelled words. Or if you're talking to someone and they say, "am from the state," "am a military man, dear," "am cool and kind and caring," it's going to be a scammer from a popular scamming country such as Nigeria. That's just how they speak. It's just how they do it. Hazel, my scammer tripped himself up. He said he was on a rig in the high sea and he just got malaria. Not likely. Most cases of malaria are in Africa. They are, and they do have them like in some in Australia, some in more tropical places, but yeah. They love to say they're on an oil rig on the high sea. The reason for that is because then if they need something, they can have you send the money to a friend of theirs, which will likely be a money mule or the scammer themselves. Or on the high sea where there are no high seas. Yeah, I had a scammer I spoke to a while back. He said he was, where was he? He was in some landlocked country, the high seas of Romania or something, and it was just so ridiculous. So they do say they're on the high sea when there's no high seas. And yeah, malaria is very prevalent in African countries like Nigeria, Ghana, that part of the world as well. So it's kind of more of a typical thing over there than it would be for anywhere else. My friend has been chatting to someone who has been deployed for 4 years now. Then she'll be talking to a scammer. Military men don't stay deployed for 4 years. They never do. They go home. If she's talking to someone who says he's been deployed for that long, then she's talking to a scammer. She should block them. The sad reality of it is the majority of these so-called military men that people think they're talking to are always going to be young West African boys. A large majority of them. There's some from other countries like Bangladesh and India, but a large majority of them are young West African boys, and so that's who she'll be talking to, unfortunately. Some of the scammer texts you've posted are scary good at English. That's true. And a lot of them are. People get this notion, because we post a lot of dumb scamming chats too, that all scammers are dumb, and they're not. There's scammers that are college educated that have master's degrees in English, master's degrees in computer science, and they're not stupid. A lot of them put themselves through college with money they got from victims. And so we get this notion that they're all going to be dumb, and they're not. Some of them can carry on a very educated and intelligent conversation because they are educated and intelligent, but they like to scam. So it's always coming down to red flags. What are they asking? What's their story? What are they telling you? What do they need from you? Have they, lured you to WhatsApp and Hangouts? There's a ton of things you can look for in the chat besides just, misspelled words or bad English. Debbie, they say, "am a simple man," when they claim to be a doctor or engineer. They do. They'll say, "am a simple man, am from the state, am kind and caring." It's just basic things like that. They're always romantic. They always have, you'll be talking to a military guy that's got like, big muscle chest and he's all pumped up and he's, a hardcore mercenary killing machine for the army, and then his background is a bunch of cartoon teddy bears and roses and bouquets of flowers and stuff that looks like it would belong in a teenage girl's bedroom. So be aware of that. Real military guys don't have that crap on their profiles. Some people seem to take a while, like they're conditioning you, but it's weird when some of the scammers try to in the first conversation. So you're right, and the new ones, the new kids that are coming up that are scamming, they are quick to get money and gift cards. They will ask you right away, like not even 5 minutes into the conversation, they'll ask you for money. The really good ones, the ones that are experienced and that have a lot of victims, they will talk to you for months, sometimes a year, before they ask you for anything. And they always say they're God-fearing, absolutely. And they do Google. If you ask them questions, they will Google and try to get an answer, or they'll just copy and paste an answer from Google. So a lot of these so-called single women turn out to be young men from Ghana or Egypt. You're right. So when we get profiles of like porn women, and men fall for it. They'll do X-rated videos with these women, or they'll send money. The large majority of the ones that do sextortion scams are from the Middle East. They're from Morocco, North Africa. They're from Tunisia, Ghana, Nigeria. They do that, and they're men. So a lot of guys will go, "Oh no, I talked to this woman named Linda. She's beautiful. She's blonde. She's hot." And the reality is, you were talking to a 17-year-old kid from Morocco. So it's hard sometimes for people to accept that, but that's the reality of it. Received a phone call yesterday from a scammer. He had an African accent. I don't know where he got my number from. If you've given your number to a scammer once, they'll keep it and give it to other scammers. We've had victims who've gotten phone calls from scammers years after they've been scammed. They save your number as a hot client and they share it with other scammers. How can you know if your info has been posted on scammer shared sites? That's where it becomes difficult. So here's the deal with that. A lot of scammer groups are on Facebook. They're on Telegram. Telegram is like the new hotspot for Yahoo boy groups. So a lot of times what'll happen is if you look into groups like the Yahoo Boys, the G Boys and Girls, a lot of those sites are on Facebook. Some of them are on Telegram. Then you can find your info. If you actually go to those pages, like let's say you're on Facebook, and you go to Yahoo Boys group, and it's an open group. At the top of that group, there'll be a little magnifying glass where you can search. You can type your name in and see if it comes up in their group, or see if any posts come up with your name on it or your Facebook profile. So that's the best way to do it. But a lot of times it's just hard. It's a matter of just Googling or TinEye or Yandex image search your own photos and see if anything comes up. We've had victims who have search their own photos online and search sites, and it comes up that scammers are using their photos. So and they'll find their photos on a fake dating profile with a totally different name from what they are. So that's the best way to do it. The Nigerian EFCC has been trying to catch a lot of them. They try, but the issue with that is it's like if you have 1,000 scammers, they'll arrest 5, and then 15 more show up to replace those 5. So it's kind of a drop in the bucket, and it's really a losing battle. But they do try to arrest some. I mean, they've been going after them because it has completely tarnished their country as a whole. I had a scammer once that was American and actually used his real name. He and his girlfriend teamed up to scam people. I blocked him immediately, but a friend really got caught up and was sending gifts to his home because he gave her his real address. Oops. But eventually it caught up with him and his girlfriend because they pulled this crap on too many people. So it does happen. Anna and myself, a few years ago, came across a woman from Tennessee, of all places, who was using her real name. Her real photos, I mean, she wasn't a model, but she was decent looking to where she could lure him in. And she was using her real photos and that to scam men online. And she was getting gift cards. She was getting gifts in the mail, money in the mail. And she was telling a sad story. And the truth was that she was pretty well off, had a home, had all these things. And she was just doing it because she could. And at the same time, she was collecting food stamps and disability checks and all sorts of stuff, and then making more money off of victims. She did get caught and arrested. So Americans do scam too. It's not as prevalent as, if you have 100 fake profiles, maybe one of them might be an American, but they do it, but they get caught. And that's the difference between American scammers and scammers in a place like Nigeria. The ones in Nigeria hardly ever get caught. Americans will get caught right away. I had one woman scammer whom I blocked. Came back at me again using my photos of friends and family to claim it was her. They do that. Unfortunately, they will use your photos, use your information. They'll try to get into your profile. I'll give you an example. Someone I have Betty on Facebook, and someone has been trying to get into her Facebook account for months now, and I have it password protected. I have it two-step protected, so I get a notification when someone tries to log in, and I get the code sent to my bait phone. So they do try to hack your profiles and get into them, get into your friends list. Once they hack your profile, they'll change your password, they'll change the phone number and email on it so that you can't get back into it, and that's happening a lot lately. We've been having a lot of victims who have had their Facebook profiles compromised, and then their friends and relatives end up getting messages from them, but it's not them, it's scammers, and so it happens quite often, unfortunately. And Cindy, you're right, they do pay them off. A lot of scammer boys who get caught pay off. There's members of the EFCC who are just as crooked as the scammers themselves, and they'll pay them off. It does happen quite often. We see it all the time. So, it's corruption. It just depends on who you get. We've caught members of the EFCC romance scamming. We've caught Nigerian government officials romance scamming, Nigerian military scamming. So it happens quite often, and places like Nigeria and Ghana, the corruption is huge. And so it's just like scamming there is like a job. It's a normal thing for them. And unfortunately, it's always going to be that way. So the only way to protect yourself is to be vigilant, know what to look for, and above all, don't send money. Anna and myself work this inbox daily, and so many people send money. It's amazing to us how many people will come to us and say, well, I sent 5,000, or I sent $300 in gift cards. I sent this, I sent that. And it's just like, don't send anything. You don't have to be in a relationship or speak to a person to and send them money. Like, love should not cost you anything. So if you're talking to someone online that wants money or gift cards, they're scammers. Real people in a relationship don't ask for those things. EFCC is the Economic Financial Crimes Unit. It's the Nigerian version of the FBI. They go after scammers. They try to go after people that commit crimes. So that's kind of what they are. Hush Puppy's looking at 20 years for each crime. He is. He's looking at life in prison. The unfortunate thing of it is Hush Puppy is hailed as a hero, and he has filtered his money all over the world. And so, Hush Puppy's gone. There'll be another Hush Puppy to take his place, unfortunately. So, and I apologize. My housemate has cats, and so her cats are extremely vocal. So if you guys hear a odd noise in the background, that's a cat having a fit. So, but yeah, the scamming is getting worse. We're seeing, like I said, more and more military scammers, and it's just increasing and increasing as the days go on. So be very, very vigilant of that, and do know, we have victims that say, well, what can you do to have the scammer arrested? And there's nothing you can do. It's just going to keep happening, and there's nothing you can do to change it. The only thing you can do yourself is protect yourself, know what to look out for, and don't send money or gift cards. As I said, people are sending money out like it's water, and then coming to us and saying, well, what do I do now? I want my money back. You don't get your money back. Once you send money to a scammer, it's like throwing it out the car window. It's gone. You're not going to get it back. You're not going to find it. It's not going to come back to you. So just keep that in mind when chatting to someone online. Cindy, and it's family business. Some families in Nigeria for scamming. Hi, Judy. Yes, Cindy, it is family business, and we've seen husbands, wives, and their kids all scamming together. We've seen husband, wife, grandma, grandpa, uncle, aunt, cousin, and they all scam together. So just be aware of it. Hey Jackson, sorry, but your sound is low or off completely. My sound's on, but I'm using a very old laptop, so it might not be the best quality. I've got my sound up as loud as I can get it, so if you can't hear me, it might be just a sound issue. I'm going to upload this to YouTube later, and I'll try to adjust the sound to make it a little bit louder. Hopefully next month, the computer will be functioning and everything will be a little bit better. As I said, I'm using a laptop right now because my computer is still all taken apart. So my sound is up to 100. I can't get it any louder than it is, so I apologize. As I said, I'll have a better system set up. Some of you that just joined us didn't know I moved, so I've everything's like in boxes right now, so I'm lucky I have the laptop set up. Susan, you love cats, or you can come here. There's thousands of them. I'm staying with a friend that she has a duplex, and it's a great area. I'm outside of Los Angeles. It's nice and warm here compared to Oregon, but she has a few cats, and they're a few, so they do make a lot of noise, but I'm very grateful, and as I said, I just started a new job this week, so things are going good. But as I said, Anna and myself will have some announcements coming up soon, some new stuff we're going to be doing, and a lot of changes happening. This year has been completely a challenge for all of us, so we appreciate your kindness and your patience as we get everything kind of in order. But we're going to try to continue to educate and try to make some new videos. As I said, Betty's been on the prowl, and so I hope to do a YouTube live stream soon as well once I get my computer set up. We'll do that. As I said, my housemate didn't have the greatest internet set up when I got here, so it took about a month to get everything kind of in order. So I appreciate you guys' patience and everything. So, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. I just wanted to cover a few things that we're seeing online. We're still seeing a lot of Bitcoin scammers as well, but a lot of that has fallen by the wayside to make room for the military profile scams now. Keep in mind, like I said, scammers watch the news just like you and I do. And so they know what's going on in the Ukraine, and so they're taking advantage of that, and they're, actually pretending to be U.S. soldiers or pretending to be doctors. We've had a few that have even opened up fake charity pages online offering to help people in the Ukraine, and it's a fake charity scam. So, like I said, if you want to help the people of the Ukraine, do it the right way. Go through a charity that you know and that you've Googled and you've researched yourself. Don't trust anyone on Facebook who's offering to help people, because it's going to be a scammer just taking advantage of an absolutely horrid situation. So please keep that in mind. Debbie had someone go on Instagram on my phone and use my picture and sent me messages on Messenger. It's been crazy and mess with my friends. That happens a lot, and unfortunately, Instagram is less than helpful to try and get that kind of profile removed. If you've ever reported something to Instagram, you know that they ask, well, who are they impersonating? And you have to tag the person in it. It's a pain to get things removed. So they do that. They'll send messages saying they need money. They'll pretend to be you. Betty, my fake Betty lady, is on Instagram, and she's already had people make a fake profile with her name. And it was kind of humorous because they made a fake profile with her name and then messaged her son Kyle, who is also me, and told me that they needed money. So it was kind of an interesting little game I played with them for a while. But it's frustrating when it is your real profile and it messes with your friends. That's always good to have a like if you have a handful of friends or close friends and relatives on social media, it's always good to have a password. I have like a little password, if it's me, I'll say this password. It's good because scammers won't know it. And when they pretend to be you and they message, like, say your sister or your brother and say, hey, I need money, your sister or brother can say, well, what's the password? And the scammer's not going to know the password. And so that's a good way to watch out for that. So just keep that in mind. It's a little safety thing that we encourage people to do to avoid falling for a scammer. And to avoid your family falling for scammers as well. So, hi Kathleen. I'm doing okay. Like I said, I just got moved, and so I'm kind of, everything's a mess and everything's in boxes, but I'm okay. I'm surviving. And as I said earlier, I started a new job this last week. My new job is a little different. It's very physically hard, which is a bit of a challenge for me because I have a lot of physical issues, but I'm doing my best, and hopefully it'll continue. So, Brenda's awful scam page for Ukraine. Yeah, we've seen scammers in Nigeria open up charity pages and ask for money to help the people of the Ukraine, and it's just a scammer, and the money just goes to them. It angers me, and we try to shut down as many as we can by reporting them. So. What do you think of the Tinder swindler? There was some in-person meet. Same rules apply. Don't give money. He had a racket going, didn't he? He had quite a lot of victims, and he was making money. I think it's horrible, but again, it comes down to don't give money to people. It's the same adage in real life. Like if you're in a relationship with a guy and he's asking you for money, I just, for myself, I come from an old school Eastern European family, so we don't ask women for money. Like that's just something you don't do. Even if you needed the money, you wouldn't do it. So it comes down to if a guy you're in a relationship or a female you're in a relationship with asks you for money and asks you for things and tells you these grandiose stories about they're going to be killed if they don't get this money, and it's a scammer. They're a scammer whether they're using their real face and they're in the flesh, or they're using a fake profile. If someone's asking you for thousands of dollars, it's a scammer. They're going to be a scammer through and through. Has there been a fake female Kelvin? We've probably run into a few fake female Kelvins. I know a few that have used what's her name's photos. That porn star, you all know her, Raven Riley. So we've had a few Kelvins that have used Raven Riley's photos. So yeah, they use the name Kelvin, sure. It's the same adage with big buff military guys whose names are Susan. Or we had one this morning, I think his name was Karen. I mean, people don't look at the names, and you should question names. You know, if you're talking to a 6'4", 250-pound muscle-bound military guy with his gun and his boots and his ammo and his big truck, and his name is Sally, it's a huge red flag. So just keep that in mind when you're chatting to someone online. Always question a name. We had a lady this morning who was talking to a military guy, and his name was something like Walker Smith, but his URL was Ukachukawuchi, Nigeria. And we asked her, well, didn't you look at his profile URL? And she says, oh yeah, he said it was his troop's name. If you're talking to an American with an American name and his URL is a Nigerian name, something's very wrong. And that's a huge red flag. Huge red flag. Don't open accounts for people? Absolutely not. If someone asks you to open a Facebook or an Instagram or a dating profile, don't do it. If someone sends a code to your phone, don't give them that code. That means they're using your phone number to validate their profile, which is likely a fake. So, morning from Romania. Hi, nice to see you. Glad you're awake this bright and early in Romania. We appreciate it. And that comes down to, someone asked me the other day, they said that they kept getting codes sent to their phone saying, is a 5-digit code for your Facebook profile, and then the person they were chatting to asked for that code. That means they're trying to verify their profile with your phone number. And a lot of people have asked us why some URLs have numbers and some have names. So if you're chatting to somebody online and their URL is a bunch of, like Facebook.com, and a bunch of numbers, that means that they have not verified their profile with a phone or phone number. And in order to verify your Facebook profile with a phone number, you have to have a real landline or a real mobile phone. It can't be a text now number or a Google number. So once you verify your profile with a phone number, and they'll text you that code, and you use that code, enter it into Facebook, that means you have verified your profile with a phone number. Then you can make your own URL. So you can be Facebook.com/John Smith or Friday Fisherman or whatever you want to be. But the ones that are just numbers means they have not verified it with a real phone. And scammers want to verify with a real phone, and they can't, because they use Google Voice and they use VoIPs. So the woman who contacted me was using the porn star profile of Caroline Tosca, a Swedish porn star. They do use a lot of porn stars for female profiles. That's just the thing. I mean, men are enticed by porn stars, and a hot blonde, so they use those, and unfortunately a lot of guys fall for it, and they send money and gift cards, or they do porn on the webcam, and then that porn is recorded, and then you're blackmailed. So it's just not a good idea to do that with anybody. There goes a cat. Scammer is using my name to make fake profiles. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. Like my fake lady Betty has fake profiles of her. They just do. That's just what they do. And they especially do it if you've made a scammer mad. Like, a lot of people like to write on fake profiles calling scammers what they are. You can make a scammer mad doing that, and so they will end up actually using your name and photos to make profiles as a revenge. They do that. So that's why it's never a good idea to write on a scammer's fake profile calling them a scammer. Debbie, afraid of bank accounts? Yeah, same. Don't open bank accounts for people. That comes up a lot. People say, well, he asked me to open up an online bank account so he could, help with his money transfer. A normal person doesn't need you to open up a bank account. So if someone's asking you to open a bank account for them, something's wrong. or if they're asking you to open one in your name so that you can accept money for them on their behalf, that is a scammer trying to make you a money mule. So don't do that either. It's the worst thing you can do. You will ruin yourself. And when it comes down to it, if he or she, the scammer, has you using your bank account or opening a bank account and accepting checks and money and it's fraud, you're the one who gets in trouble, not the scammer. So just keep that in mind. Don't open bank accounts for people. Don't open anything for anybody. If they can't open a bank account, then that's their problem, not yours. And most legit people can open bank accounts or have a way to get their money or whatever they do. But if they can't, that's not your problem. I have a guy now. I'm still talking to him. His name is Greg at the moment. They don't ask for money yet. They might not. They might not ask for money for a month. They might not ask for money for a year. It comes down to what their story is, what they're asking of you, what they're telling you, and what they want. So keep that in mind. They don't always ask for money right away. They may wait for months. They may wait for years. They may be just setting you up and connecting with you on a spiritual and an emotional level before they ask for money. So if you suspect they're fake and you want us to take a look at them, we're happy to do that. Or if you think that they may be real or whatever, we're happy to look for you. We're happy to investigate for you. So know that our inbox is open if you want us to take a look at them. Alana, I've been getting texts that say I'm at a conference right now, so I can't talk. Did you get my text? I blocked. It's scammy, right? It's suspicious. Like, I've gotten some that say, I'll call you later. Is that okay? And they want to reply. It comes down to don't reply to somebody that you don't know. So if you get a text from a number you don't know, or it's not in your contacts and you don't know who they are and they're saying that, I would just block the number. Sometimes they want you to reply and then they'll send you a link or something that has a virus. So the best thing you can do is just not respond to it and just block the number. That's what I would do. I get texts from people that I know and they're in my address book, and that's usually the only ones I answer unless I'm expecting a text from someone new. So I get severely scammed. I won't even talk online unless I know them. Being the victim of a scam, you have a heightened sense of awareness, and you're very suspicious of everybody. And there's good and bad to that, because it's great to be suspicious. It's great to not trust the first person you see. But also, too, if you know what to look for and you know how to keep safe, then you won't miss out on friendships, too. So it's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to that. You want to be very careful. You want to be, secure in who you're friending. But you also want to meet new people, too. But if you know what to look out for, you'll be just fine. Esther, yeah, we're happy to help you. If you want to inbox us, we'll take a look and see if we know who you're talking to or what the situation is. We're always happy to help. Spiritual love at the same time. I lost my mom. It's hard, and scammers will hone in on that. Like, if you're going through grief, I just went through so much in the last 2 months that it's unbelievable. And if I wasn't educated about scammers and I was looking for companionship and comfort online, I could have easily gotten scammed. When you feel very vulnerable and you're emotional and you're upset, scammers love that, because then they'll be your best friend. They'll be that shoulder that you need. They'll say everything that you want to hear and then some. So I get that. And like I said, if I'd been in that same situation emotionally in the last 2 months, I probably would have made that mistake too. So it does happen. They go after people who have been, through a divorce, or they're widowed recently, or they've lost a parent or a sibling or someone. Any emotional turmoil, scammers love it, because then they become your best friend. So unfortunately, that's kind of what happens. Same for text on yourself. You don't recognize, delete. Don't open the link. Absolutely. People have been getting ones that say, here's your Amazon order, here's your refund, things like that. It's always going to be a virus. Don't click on it. When you order something off Amazon, you know what they look like. You know what it is. You don't need to click on any links. Good advice you and Ann gave. See if the guys have mostly female friends, as those might be other victims. True. And also that comes down to if a military guy, or just a guy in general, whether he says he's an engineer or military or whatever, he's not going to have 50 female friends and not 50 guy friends. And if the friends aren't from where he says he's from, like if you're chatting online to a guy that says he's from San Diego and his profile has 50 females from the Philippines as friends, or 50 females from, Florida that are all over 70 as friends, and no friends locally from San Diego, no no interaction on his photos with people that look like they've met him in person, it's going to be a scammer. And it comes down to who are their friends, and that also comes down to if you're talking to a military guy and he says he's from Texas and he has 80 friends and all 80 of his friends are Nigerian boys or young Nigerian kids. I say kids, I mean in their 20s. It's a scammer, and it's a scammer from Nigeria. There's an easy way to tell. It's the same goes down to looking to see who likes their photos. If you're talking to a military guy whose name is Bob Smith and 47 young Nigerian boys like his photo, something's very wrong. So think about it. Think about yourself. Like when you look at your own friends list, are you friends with 50 women from the Philippines? No, you're friends with your coworker, you're friends with your neighbor, you're friends with your cousin, your aunt, your sister, you're friends with people you see at the restaurant. You're friends with people in your town. That's what, people do. And so if you see a person that their friends list doesn't really match who they are, the same can be said for likes. If you're talking to a big buff military guy who says he's from San Diego and his likes are Nigerian movies, Nigerian music, and restaurants in Lagos, something's wrong. Same can be said if you're talking to a man who's like 60 years old. He's a businessman. He's from Texas, and his likes are Tupac, Dr. Dre, and a handful of hardcore like rap stars and stuff. And his likes on movies are like Nigerian Nollywood movies. Something's very wrong. So look at the likes. The likes tell you a lot. My own personal profile, my likes reflect where I live and where I'm from and what I'm into, and you wouldn't question it. So the same can be said. Always look at someone's likes if you can to see what they're liking. A lot of times the military profiles, their likes will be loving, caring women, single over 50, widowed women, working women, women's groups, and real military guys aren't going to be floating around in women's groups that do knitting. They're not going to be liking, flirty 50 women and, all this kind of stuff. They're not into that. So their likes are going to reflect who they are and where they're from. And it's definitely not going to be all female-based groups. That's just a scammer looking for victims. Health was declining. I was quickly vulnerable. They get us when we're vulnerable. And that's what I said. They will come after you when you're vulnerable, when you're emotionally upset, when you're, it could be you've lost a loved one. It could be that you're going through a medical crisis. Scammers will go into cancer groups and try to friend people. They're just sick individuals. It's what they do. They hone in on grief and sadness, and they're like leeches. We had several ladies in the past that have actually, they were battling breast cancer, and they met their scammer in a breast cancer support group, and the scammer came in with a fake profile and said, "Oh, my wife died of breast cancer. I'll be here for you, honey. We'll get through this. You'll survive." It's sick. It's sick, and it's disgusting what they do, but that's how they operate. So be very, very careful. As you know, they write on comments. So let's say you're on a page for breast cancer awareness, and you write a comment on a story. The scammer will reply to you with a fake profile and say, "Oh dear, I agree with your comment. It struck me and hit my heart. I looked at your photo and you're beautiful. Please add me as a friend." That's what they want. They want you to add them, and the reason for that is because their profile is fairly new, it's fake, and if they go adding a bunch of friends, Facebook flags that profile. But if you add them, Facebook won't flag it because you've been on Facebook for a long time and you're legit. So a lot of scammers now with fake profiles ask you to add them up. Be very aware of this, be very clear on this, because this is how they operate and this is what they do. If someone can't send you a friend request and they tell you their friend request button is broken or it failed to go through, it's going to be a scammer. And they're wanting you to add them because they're trying to add as many women as possible to their victims list and their friends list. So, or they see you comment on a site you follow and say, "Nice profile." Exactly. They're begging for friend requests, begging for it. They want you to friend them instead, and they'll say, "Oh, my button didn't go through." A lot of timeline is public. Explain should be friends only. That's another thing. Absolutely, your friends list should be friends only or only me. So only you can see who you're friends with. Don't make your friends list public. There's a cat. never make your friends list public, because scammers will go through that friends list and they will start friending your friends. And that's through mutual friends. That's how scammers get victims. So be very, very, very aware of that. But I feel horrible for anyone who has their photos stolen. When it comes down to military men, we get asked this question quite often: is how do scammers get these military photos? So here's the reality of it. Military photos are stolen because real military guys, and a lot of them are young, in their 20s and 30s, are on Instagram. And they take hundreds of selfies of their body, of their muscles, of their, in their little short shorts, and they're pulling their shorts up, showing their muscular thighs, and they're showing their muscles. And they post these photos on Instagram. Or they post photos of themselves with their guns, and they're very, the machismo of, oh, look at me, I'm a big buff military guy. And that's fine if you want to do that. However, all of their profiles are public, and scammers just go onto these Instagram profiles of real military men and they just steal them. They just steal the videos, steal the photos, because these military guys make them public, and that's why they have unlimited stock of photos, because they steal them from real military men. I had one trying to friend request me recently, so I sent him a message back and said, "Scammer, get off my page." He took off pretty quick. That's funny. Some of them will just go away. A lot of them will be very nasty, and they'll come back at you and pester you. So it all depends on the scammer. It depends on who they are. If they're young kids, a lot of times they just run off. They're like, "Oh no," and then they block you. If they're seasoned scammers, they may come after you. So be aware of that. But always glad to share information if we can. Our page is about educating. It's about keeping you safe, and it's about teaching you what to look out for. Scammers haven't changed their format in the decade we've been doing this. They're not going to change it. They're going to do the same stuff over and over and over. So just be very, very, very aware of it. So, but with that being said, I just wanted to do this quick Q&A to let you guys know that I'm still alive. Many of you have been messaging the inbox asking where I'm at. So I'm here. And we're going to do another Q&A maybe in a few weeks once I get my computer up. And I will be doing one on YouTube coming up soon as well. And we'll be calling some scammers as Betty, because it's been a while since we've done a fun Betty chat. So I just wanted to say to you guys, thank you for all of your thoughts and prayers and all of your nice comments that you've been sending me. I do read them. I do appreciate them. As I said, it's been a very crazy couple of months. But things are going okay, and they're looking up. They're getting better every day. And like I said, I just got a good job, and I'm doing well. So I'm surviving one day at a time. So if you guys have any questions or you need any help, you can inbox us. We're always there. You can drop us an email, scammingscammers@gmail.com. Just give me a few days to answer those emails, because I'm running a little bit behind on email due to working so often. But I want to send much love to you guys and say thank you for everything. And do know that we'll be doing some exciting stuff coming up. I can't say what it is, but you'll see soon. There's some fun stuff going to happen. So thanks again, everybody. I'm going to end this Q&A for March 2022, and we hope you guys stay safe. If you need us, inbox us. We're always there for you. And again, don't send money to people you don't know, and don't send gift cards. And it is sad Facebook doesn't do anything. Facebook doesn't care. They just care about money. And that's the truth. So, all right, guys, you stay safe. Be well. If you need me, inbox me. Anna's there as well. Take care, and we'll see you next time. I'll announce when I go live on YouTube in the coming week. So, take care. Bye.